Hello. Submitted by Terzaerian. So this year has been productive. I've got a gainful new job, a better place to live, and am overall not doing too badly for myself. The job is a bit too dry to go over here, but my new apartment is what makes it worth it. A cozy one. A bedroom apartment on the second floor of a 4-unit complex. It has a private entrance, combined living room and dining area, kitchen, and a hallway that leads back to the bedroom, bath, and storage closet. A much welcome upgrade from the cramped, dirty efficiency I used to live in. The price was not that much worse than the efficiency, and it's convenient to my workplace and a number of highways and area businesses. I still live alone, so at times it feels a bit empty. The other week, an old roommate of mine came down for a visit and helped me move some furniture in. We got onto the subject of rent, and he asked if the place was haunted to be so affordable. To which I brashly responded, "I'm fine having a ghost for a roommate then," and had a good laugh at the thought. The night after he returned home was my first night alone in the new place, which went normally enough. I settled into the daily grind of my job, breaking the monotony with raids on area thrift stores for furniture and conversation pieces, outings with friends, and the like. The other night, though, made me wonder if the joke I'd cracked with my old roommate was too presumptive. I had settled in for a relatively early night's sleep, with the windows open and the fans running to pull the cool night air into the room, paradoxically, so I could comfortably wrap myself in a blanket. I had shut and locked my door to my room, something I did out of a strange, paranoid force of habit. As I settled into bed, I realized that I had left my smartphone out in the living room, which was grating as I typically brought it to bed and used it as a backup alarm to my bedside clock. Yet another paranoid habit of mine. In this case, my desire to not leave the comfort of my locked, cozy room triumphed over my fear of a missed alarm, so I opted to go to sleep. Those my new surroundings and routine had helped me quash the insomnia that used to afflict me. I still had some trouble staying asleep, often waking up for short periods during watches of the night before forcing myself back to sleep. And this night was no different, and I groggily peered up at the dim glow of my alarm clock and registered the time at 3:15. I was comforted somewhat in the knowledge that, if I got back to sleep right away, I should be able to clear at least one full sleep cycle, and not spend the next day wishing for death due to fatigue. Getting up, I shut off my noisy window fan and closed the window to the now unseasonably chilly night air, and crawled back into bed. It was then I heard a muffled noise out in the living room and snapped back to wakefulness. I quickly recognized the noise as my phone's default Dahlia ringtone, which sounded cheerful enough during the day, but seemed somehow stranger and more haunting during the dead of night, like a jingle played with hollow bones. My initial alarm was replaced by annoyance at the prospect of being woken up by some inconsiderate soul during the middle of the night, replaced by anxiousness at the thought that maybe it was a matter serious enough to merit a 3 a.m. call, and that I had better go get it. But this was then quashed by an even darker, more primal sense of unease that I could not place. Instead, I lay back in my bed and covered myself back up again, thinking I'd figure things out in the morning. Then, just as soon as it started, the ringing stopped, cutting out mid-tone, which I thought was unusual as it only did that when one stopped the phone from ringing manually. The unease grew into dread that I now struggled to keep down, as a strange silence seemed to settle over my home. It was then that the phone rang out once more. A cold lump settled into the pit of my stomach, both because of the conscious knowledge that someone ringing my phone deliberately twice in the middle of the night, must be desperate to contact me, probably to potentially devastating reasons, but also because it would mean opening my securely locked bedroom door to track down the phone, which was somehow worse. But just as I was about to slide out of bed to begin the process of hunting it down, its sound began to change, Doppler shifting, as if it was moving inside my living room. I froze as the muffled ringtone went from my right to the other side of the wall to my left, and began to draw slowly closer, as if clutched in the hands of someone, slowly, softly, sneaking. It drew near to the hallway, and I could then hear it on the other side of the door, where it paused. My heart began to pound and drum at the possibility that some intruder had broken in. But what kind of intruder would start moving a ringing phone around? My despair was trebled at the thought that, since the intruder possessed my phone, there was no way of contacting the police, and thus I was my only defense. After pausing at the door, the ringing phone moved again, now down the hallway, directly on the other side of the wall from me, inching closer toward me. I was paralyzed as my gaze crawled along the wall, following its unseen progress, until the ringing itself stopped again, directly on the other side from my spot in the bed. A silence even more terrible settled as my frenzied mind spun with the horrible possibilities of home invasion, which were themselves seemingly a distraction to an even worse, more supernatural ideas. Then I heard it faintly through the wall, a faint, strange noise, like a tapping or a scratching. It continued for a few horrible moments, and I was frozen as I strained to listen, to get some hint at whatever person or thing was on the other side of the wall. But the scratching stopped, and I heard no more. For a while I sat up in bed, waiting for whatever terrible thing lurked outside my bedroom to make its next move. But as nothing materialized, fatigue gradually set in, and slowly I returned to a fitful, troubled sleep. The next bright morning sunshine and birdsong banished the strange terror of the previous night, to the point I had nearly forgotten the ordeal as I greeted the new day. Walking out to the kitchen, nothing seemed amiss. And there, just in the spot where I'd left it in the living room, was my phone. I walked over and picked it up and checked for calls and messages, of which there was none. I was about to dismiss the whole thing as a strange dream when I felt something on the back of the case. A thin groove of sorts. Flipping my phone over, my heart leapt into my throat. Scratched into the back of the case, in spidery thin, wobbling script, was a single word. Hello.